to answer the door after 7:30, because that was what they said. Don't. And it haunts me to this day that I didn't.
What's good, guys? Welcome back to CRIMETOBER day 13. 13 whole days, guys. Can you believe it? That means we only have 2 episodes left in CRIMETOBER. Today's episode focuses on a 69-year-old Marvin Brandland. Marvin and his wife Ethel lived in Fort Dodge, Iowa back in 1982 when sadly on Halloween his life would end. And what makes this story so sad is I can just think back on that moment, even though I was not there, and I can just imagine Marvin and Ethel giving out candy to trick-or-treaters. Now, their granddaughter Teresa had already left, and they thought the trick-or-treaters were done. And so they end up getting a knock on the door, and that's when a individual with a pillowcase over the side of their head, that's when an individual knocking on the door with the pillowcase cut out, of course, with the eyes, was seen knocking on their door. And the person states, "Trick or treat, give me your money or I'll shoot." Now, Ethel, thinking that this is a joke, she's playing along with it. So she then goes to try to pull the pillowcase up because she's thinking it's her granddaughter, because her granddaughter had just left. And so she's thinking someone's playing a prank on her. But sadly, this would not be a prank. So Ethel goes to get the candy bowl, and as she turns her back, this individual makes their way inside the house. And when he gets inside the house, he points out the gun and he tells them to go to the safe. Now, that is a key part right there. Now, Marvin and Ethel owned a carpet service business, but they were not rolling in tons of dough. They were just making it, you know, like they were not millionaires and they did not have a lot of money in the safe. So as Marvin is going through this with Ethel, because the person behind this pillowcase instructs them to go down to the basement, he's like, okay, I had enough. Like, I had enough of doing whatever this is, because he's still thinking that someone is fooling with him. So he tries to grab the gun, and as he tries to grab the gun, he is shot in the throat. And the person ends up taking off the pillowcase and ends up running out. Doesn't get anything that you initially come there for. And it's truly baffling that, I know I say baffling a lot, but it is baffling because it's like, how dare you try to go to someone's house knowing that they have a safe? And that lets you know it has to be someone who knows this family. They know their routine. They know where they keep certain things. And that's the crazy part about that. So Marvin was transported to the Trinity Regional Hospital where he later died. And it would be so sad for Ethel because she would later die months later. And her family believes she died from a broken heart.
She was eating, and she just quit eating, and she broke down, and she cried and cried and cried. And, you know, and I'll never forget when they carried her out in the chair, and we always say she died of a broken heart because she didn't want to be by herself.
I just can't even imagine being in a situation like that, and then my husband gets shot, and then you're still living, and you're going over every possible scenario, like what could you have done better in that situation? But there was really nothing that they could have done any better. Marvin literally was brave. He stood up to protect his wife in that moment, and sadly it cost him his life. And sadly Ethel would later die because she just couldn't go on. She couldn't live life without her husband. And it happens that way a lot of times when, you know, you're madly in love with someone and you are one. Literally, you do everything to. Ethel was able to get a good look at the individual. She had basically gave a description that he was about 16 to 20 years of age, 5 feet 8 inches with blondish hair and blue eyes. And so the family kind of had it in their mind who it was because an acquaintance of the family was bragging about committing this act. Although they turned over this individual's name, law enforcement needed solid proof. And because he did leave that pillowcase behind, They thought that this would help them trace any DNA from who they suspect. But sadly, there was just not enough DNA on that pillowcase to confirm it with anyone. And the family basically states that for the longest time, they didn't do anything to pursue the case because they knew in their heart and in their gut who this individual was, but they were basically waiting for law enforcement and, you know, the proper procedures to make an arrest, and that they will continue to fight to convict this individual who they know has committed this heinous act. Sadly, this case is still unsolved in 2021. I haven't seen any new information to turn up. There was an interview that the family did do back in 2012, but since then there hasn't been any new updates in this case, and it's truly sad because I can only imagine, as the family, you know who did it, but law enforcement needs, you know, that actual proof to make a conviction. And I know that's so hard to deal with because your mother and father die. You know, your mom dies from a broken heart because of her husband being killed, and there's truly nothing that you can do about it. So heartbreaking. Halloween, y'all, like, people really make you so scared when Halloween comes, because I feel like Halloween is a time where people just they do the most. They just do the most. Well, that's today's episode, guys. As always, sending the family love and light, and hopefully new technology can make something happen, you know, like, hopefully, you know, fingers freaking crossed for this family. But as always, guys, I'm sending you all love and light, and I will see you tomorrow for day 14. Bye, guys.